No, we can, I think.
The recording started just now, but we have been live for a while.
Yeah.
No problem. I think we can, if can we close out and start again, or it's okay. If we are live, then Ruchi, can
I
you?
think we were supposed to go live at 4 o'clock. That's what the creative said. The
Yes.
flyer said.
Yes. So that was also communicated to Ruchi. No problem if it is. You can stop it. I think you can just pause it there and it will stop going live. There's an option, Ruchi.
The way you're doing it, IT team is looking after this.
No
So
problem.
I've just
No problem.
communicated. Yeah.
So we are all talking and discussing things. So this is being live, and we will be having our chapters joining in from all locations, from top notch Srinagar to Chennai, from where Vinodji comes from Gujarat to Nagaland, more than around 56, 57 chapters, and their YUVA colleges. We have a membership of around 40,000 YUVA college students. So definitely making it live has a lot of advantage, where the kids can join in and view the views of people around. So I think Yuvika called up. I'll ask Ruchi. Yuvika has joined as an attendee probably. So can we move her to the panelist? She's there in the attendees.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, you can just type YUVIK and she'll be there. Yuvika Singhal.
Yes, sir. I'm.
So Ruchi is trying to add you as attendee, as panelist.
Hi, Yuvika.
Hi, Yuvika.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Sorry, I thought some tech glitch at my end, but yeah, so they upped me to the panelist.
Yeah, maybe some lessons from Nirmala Sitharaman, because she presented a budget with the iPad this time.
And it was a
All
short
right.
speech. It was a short speech and it was flawless this time. So
Yeah.
Thank God for being a short speech.
yeah.
I think a lot of news channels had trouble. They were anticipating sessions at 1 o'clock. They had to start at 12:30.
Right.
This was the shortest speech by her so far. The shortest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, but this time the media management has been all over the place. So even a day prior on when the economic survey was to be released, the media was clueless what time it will be tabled, what time the highlights will come in, what time the CA will go for press con. There was so much of haphazardness on that day also. But so thankfully, I think they managed the show better on the budget day.
But speech was small, but the budget document is much bigger.
Yeah.
The finance bill, only the direct taxes cover almost to 85 pages.
There's nothing much to do on the indirect tax front. So might as well focus where the where they have the leverage to.
So
Yeah,
guys,
like
3 minutes, we go live, and we have getting a lot of viewership on the our social media channel. The Zoom link is given to some limited people, so we will not expect much to join the Zoom link in the interest to make it safe and going ahead. So next 2 minutes we go live, and we are actually live. So, but we'll start the session at 2 minutes from now, or I think it is stopped. I don't know.
It says live. I think we are live. Yeah.
Cool. So.
Yeah, it says live, so it is we are live.
Anuj, it's live on YI page or YI Bhopal page?
We have made it on, as we said, it's Bhopal who's hosting. So we have done it there. From there, the chapters can share the post and make it live in their own chapter. So
So I think
every
Mumbai
chapter
is-
has their own admin rights. So I think Fazan would have done in Mumbai,
Correct.
at YI Mumbai. So the same got repost in every chapter. So I think I can't see the names of attendees now. Maybe there are too many of them. So we start in a minute from now. Thank you, Yuvika, for joining in, and everyone is set. So we're going to start our discussion, which will be a very fruitful one. We have thought of making this centric to the youth of this country, and we have distinguished panels whom I'm not much of them would be except Vinod. I was not knowing many of them a week ago, and it was just a small connection and discovery of meeting the right people and manifesting this event to happen only for the future of this nation, which is the youth. So just hold on, guys. We stick to the boundaries of time, and as it has been communicated to start at 4, we start in a minute from now. I once again take this opportunity to welcome all the distinguished panels who have joined on behalf of CII and Young Indians. Also, I take this opportunity to welcome you on behalf of the YUVA Bhopal team who have hosted us on their digital platform. Thank you everyone joining in from various chapters, and we'll have some curated discussions, and then we go on for the Q&A. The lines for Q&A will be opened after half an hour from the session, and we'll try to take most of the questions which comes to us. So we start now. So welcome friends, a warm good evening to everyone who has joined this broadcast through Zoom and various social media channels of CII Young Indians. On behalf of the YUVA team, I, Professor Anuj Garg, who is the head for YUVA West, take this opportunity to welcome everyone who are in the show, and especially a warm welcome to the distinguished panels who are here taking out their time. We are here to discuss the budget 2022 and what is the offering for the young students, college students, youth of this country. We are glad to have this hosted by 12 big cities of the West. Ahmedabad, a big shout out to you. Aurangabad chapter, Bhavnagar chapter, Bhopal chapter, Goa, Indore, YI Mumbai, YI Nasik, YI Pune, YI Rajkot, YI Surat, and YI Vadodara. A big shout to all for supporting this cause and taking this to all the YUVA membership and colleges in this cities. Also, we have a lot of requests which has come from Coimbatore, down south. So everyone would be watching this to the social media. And taking forward, I take this opportunity to say a few lines about Young Indians, which is a movement for Indian youth to converge, lead, co-create, and influence India's future. As an integral part of Confederation of Indian Industries, CII, a non-government, not-for-profit, industry-led and industry-managed organization playing a proactive role in India's development process. Formed in the year 2002, YI has created a platform for young Indians to work towards realizing a dream of a developed nation. It has growing inclusive membership across all geographies and demographics with over 4,000 plus direct members in 57 chapters and 30,000 students, YUVA members from colleges. So on behalf of CI Young Indians, I take this opportunity to welcome everyone. And moving forward, I would like to start introducing our panels who will be here, throwing discussions on this budget. To start with, I have my friend, a mentor and a guide, Mr. Vinod Agarwal, who is a very active, vibrant member of both Young Indians and CII. His present designation is the state chair for Gujarat state, one of the most vibrant and industry state. Welcome Vinod to the show. Vinod is also heading verticals for international engagement at Young Indians. He has been a member for G20 CAI and represented India and took the delegation to various countries. And he has been someone who has always speaking for the development of YUVA, the college students, and has been a source of energy and inspiration for many of us in YI and CII. Once again, Mr. Vinod Agarwal, welcome. If you can just say hi.
Hi, Anuj. Hi, everybody.
Thank you so much, Vinod sir, for taking our time and coming up. So we move on, and we have Yuvika Singhal, who is an economist with 12 plus years of experience in Indian economic research with specialization in empirical work in macroeconomy and public policy. Prior to co-founding Quant Eco Research in 2020, she worked with Yes Bank and ICICI Bank in close association with treasury teams catering to clients across multinationals, large domestic corporates, government bodies, and ministries. At Quanto Eco Research, Yuvika regularly presents to clients on India economic and financial market outlook and comments on economic development extensively in the media. She holds an undergraduate and postgraduate degree in economics from Sri Ram College of Commerce and Delhi School of Economics, respectively. I hope a lot of alumni from Delhi would be watching out for Yuvika. So welcome, Yuvika. A hi from Delhi.
Thank you, and a good evening to all the viewers.
Great. So moving on, we have an expert whom I have been watching at NDTV and many places, Sachit Jolly, who is partner with DMD Advocates, specializing in litigating on tax and white-collar crime, represent multinational in their disputes in India, part of several industry body, and one of the youngest to be rated as top 100 lawyers in India by India Business Law Journal in 2018. Thank you, Sachit, for not only joining, but contributing in giving a flow to this session.
Thank you so much, Anuj. It's a pleasure and good evening to all. Look forward to a good interaction today.
I have with me an IITian, Devansh Pathak, who is passionate about social impact, leveraging emerging technologies. After graduating from IIT Kanpur, he got into management consulting, driving emerging technologies initiatives for the IT Minister of Telangana State, helping position Hyderabad as a launchpad for technology-led innovation. Currently, he is curating the startup ecosystem in India and engaging startups on World Economic Forum's project locally and globally. Devansh, we are so glad to have you here. Welcome on the show.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Anuj, and thanks a lot for the warm welcome. Looking forward to the discussion. Such a vibrant panel over here and very excited. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Also, we have chapter chairs from various cities of CII Young Indians, YUVA chairs, all joining in and supporting this cause. So we look forward for a very fruitful discussion, and our viewership is going tremendously high. So we request viewers to stay tuned, and there will be a good discussion and question answers also all relating to budget. So moving forward, every January, everyone have a some wish list with the finance minister, Sitaraman. Everyone wants something or the other, and so is the youth of this country. So with a lot of expectations, let's decode what this budget has brought to us. and we definitely understand that a major population of this country is a youth population, and they have a very important stake in this country, and understanding budget debugging is for them is very important. To set the context of this talk, may I invite Mr. Vinod Agarwal to set the opening comments for this discussion, which we are going to start. Over to you, Mr. Vinod.
Thank you, Anuj. Warm welcome to all the viewers and my fellow panelists. You rightly said that this budget, as Honorable Finance Minister started with Amrut Kal, this budget is not only a document of just numbers, but it is a vision for 25 years, which India has given to the youth of today who are watching us. So after 25 years, whatever announcement has been done, you will be the real people who will be implementing all these announcements in next 20 years, 25 years. So I will not make you much bore with all the numbers and macroeconomics announcement what FM has done, but we like to keep it in a simple language throughout the session so that you can have more insight about it. As it was started, like we are celebrating our Azadi Ka Amrut Mahotsav India at 75, but with a prime minister like Narendra Modi, who thinks not of today but of next decades, but this time they have crossed even decade, they've gone far behind till India at 100. What we say is, I said that Amrit Kal has started, what we can say is the golden era, golden period of India has started, and from this they have put a vision document in the form of budget 2022-23 for the youth of India. You can say this entire budget is a all-inclusive budget for welfare, macro level growth, focus with the micro level, microeconomic level, promotion of digital economy, fintech, technology enabled development, energy transition. Not only that, development with a sustainability, keeping in all the COP26 goals what we have announced, and reliance on virtuous cycle from private investment along with public capital investment in order to crowd in private investment. The ambitious projects like PM Gati Shakti, inclusive development, productive enhancement, sunrise opportunity, energy transition, climate change, clean energy, green bonds, financing of investment, etc. is very well covered by Finance Minister this year. So on this, what the highlights were, like what the youth want of tomorrow. You can say that India has really moved. You can see from the symbol that jo bahikata ke bag leke jati thi Finance Minister, now it has come into an iPad. So this shows how the India is transitioning, how India is moving from a normal traditional business to a digitized economy. So this is all what government has put this time. As the session will go, we'll take the more on different aspects of the budget. What one thing is there, they put everything from education to healthcare to skilling, upskilling, going till the last mile, like announcement of Parvatmala, so that development of Northeast, development of Uttarakhand, right from south, to announcing 400 Vande Mataram trains to 100 more cargo terminals, and with 25,000 more kilometers of roadways. So this budget has given all kind of opportunity, not only for today's businessmen, entrepreneurs, to the youth of tomorrow. What youth need is the word called digitization. So more emphasis has been done on digitization, modern words like startups, agri-tech, drones, gaming, genome sequences. You can see the words which has come this time's budget has all the fancy words which are doable, which are loved by the youth of tomorrow. So I must congratulate FM and Prime Minister for this wonderful budget. We at CII also think that this is a very progressive, positive budget. There are no negatives aspect in this budget. And most important, even though government is going elections in 5 states and coming in another 2-3 states in this year, they have referred themselves for moving for the populistic budget. What always say, they have not even named a single city or a state that is city ko ye de diya, wo de diya, but they have gone for entire India in a development phase, a growth budget we can say.
Thank you, Vinod, and putting the context right for the budget. And before we head on with our questions, I discovered a friend in my journey just a week back, a person who represents YUVA in Mumbai. So I just thought of having this budget session and then introduce Mr. Fazan Gediali. If you can just wave so that people can hear you. He's a Senator India for World Business Angel Forum and affiliated partner to G20 Global Partnership for Financial Inclusion. He's head of investment, public and private market at multifamily office. He is a principal mentor for Vidhi and uh, at SP Jain Institute of Management. He's author of 2 books, Investing in Turbulent Times, Investing in Turbulent Decade that was and beyond. He writes in leading financial newspapers, including Midday, where his column features every Monday in the finance section. So people in Mumbai, you can grab it in the recent Monday edition. And his interactive videos for Midday viewers on a monthly basis. And most importantly, I wanted to hold it that he's the chair for YI Mumbai for the YUVA, for the college students, and a deep dedication for the youth. So Fazan, if you can say a line for YUVA, and then we start the questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anuj. It's a real pleasure. As you know, they say, I think the time of India has really come, and the demographic divide and the strength of this country is the YUVA, the young. So we look forward not only to this budget for many, many years to come, for India to move strength to strength. And I think YUVA will be the strength which takes India into a next orbit.
Great context, Fazan. And now moving out to Sachit, we would like to hear from you. What is this budget as per you is an opportunity for youth, for their career, and your context on this budget with respect to the career opportunities coming out for youth? Over to you, Sachit.
Thank you, Anuj. When I look at the budget, I don't look at the budget only for its fiscal prudence or the fiscal growth that it promotes, but also the overall growth of the community. So if I look at you from a youth's perspective, I think I'll take away 3 very important aspects. First, the environment, because you can't sustain in a dead environment. The issuance of green bonds, the proceeds of which will be used for sustaining greener energies. Then you had the policy of battery swap, which was announced. Thirdly, the single window clearance for all projects, taking into consideration the environment. I thought those were 3 very important steps from an environment perspective to, allow the youth to be healthy, to grow. The second aspect was the emphasis on, aspects like the Kisan drone, putting drones as part of startups, emphasis on gaming, as Vinodji said. I think those are aspects which are newer aspects which encourage employment as well as will encourage entrepreneurship. So I think 1, environment, 2, the emphasis on startup and creating an entrepreneurship. Third, I felt, and I think it was a very small announcement, but a very significant announcement, that under the GIFT City in Gujarat, the foreign universities will be allowed to set up shop. I think providing great education is one of the fundamentals to growth. And a lot of Indian regulations on education prevent these foreign universities from coming in. So I think freeing up the space for foreign education in India will be a great step to empower the youth, either whether they want to take up jobs or what they want to take up entrepreneurial risks. And I think that's in the long run going to be very beneficial. And the final word on the PM Gati Shakti policy, I think with 400 new Vande Bharat trains being planned, 100 new cargo terminals. We heard the aviation minister yesterday also talking about new airports or modernization of airports. I think those are going to also create a lot of jobs, because a lot of hue and cries made about jobs. I think these will create a lot of jobs on the ground. So I think if you look at it holistically, the budget addresses almost all aspects which the youth will look at in terms of cleaner air, in terms of education, in terms of entrepreneurship opportunities, in terms of jobs. The only thing which I would have probably heard would have wanted to see more is on healthcare. well, of course, it can't be every time, but some more emphasis on healthcare would have helped. Those are my initial thoughts on the budget.
So Fazan, what are the specific career opportunities which the youth can track on, adding to such a few lines from your side?
Sure, Anuj, there was a time where you had to really mold a career according to the opportunity that is available. But today we are really in a modern India, okay, a new India. Today, the passion that you have enough of opportunities, whether you talk about fintech, whether you talk about edtech, whether you talk about agri-tech, whether you talk about manufacturing. So I think this budget has really laid the foundation and for, super normal growth to really come in. So I think that is something that is really going to be the strength of India. The budget very clearly was a digital infrastructure capex oriented budget. About 7.5 lakh crores was really allocated for infrastructure, wherein hard infrastructure would be created. It's really going to connect people, to have an effect in overall growth. There is a lot of logistics. So becoming a digital is there. In the last 12 months, we've really seen that about 10 lakh crores, have been invested into the internet related companies. When you really look at that, I think a lot of money is invested, and that is really going to catapult, the consumption story that is really there. So I think it's a really good start that is really there. But two most important aspects that the budget or probably precursor to the budget that is there is really ease of doing business today. We've moved in India to a really good foundation of ease of doing business. Today, a company we can start in one day. There was a time when the same company would take probably 30 to 45 days. I think that's a long way that we've really come. So I think, ease of doing business is one. Second is simplicity of taxation. These two parameters, when I say simplicity of taxation, I really mean that, when we file returns, probably if there's a refund or if there is anything that is there, it really moves fast. So I think, providing the platform that is really there based on digital India is something this budget is really look forward to, and that is giving a lot of opportunity to the youth.
Sure, Yuvika, your thoughts on what the students should look at, aspiring jobs, careers, or where the business would be with this budget?
Right. So I think from an economist perspective, we always drill down to numbers and we try to look at, whether the rhetoric that the finance minister has presented, does it match with the fiscal allocation? And two sectors which stand out in terms of the budgeted monies that are going to be sectors, especially with keeping the youth in mind, are one, education. Education standalone, Ministry of Education has seen a rise in allocation of almost 18%. This compares to a 10% allocation that was budgeted last year. So that's a huge jump and a positive multiplier as far as pushing forward the vision of the government to propel educational outcomes, which we know because of the pandemic have seen a fair degree of retardation over the last 2 years. So that is definitely a plus point. The other sector in terms of allocation, which has received significant attention both last year and again this year, is youth affairs and sports. And sports is sports and sports related infrastructure. So this particular ministry not only saw a 50% jump in allocation last year, but on top of that, we've seen another 20% increase. So over the last several years, there was a lot of skepticism and a lot of negative chant that government does not invest enough in sports. And we have seen the performance of Indian athletes and the youth at the Olympic front. And I think that has reflected a change, not just in the mindset of the youth, but also the government, that this sector needs hand-holding from investment point of view, or hand-holding from a government point of view in terms of allocation. So from budget numbers perspective, I think these two sectors stand out in terms of their allocation, which should catapult aspirations of the youth.
Thank you, Yuvika. Moving on to Devansh, your quick lines on what are the major job sectors, then we go to question number 2. Yes,
Sure.
Devansh.
I agree completely that the financial allocation makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, the budget also sets the agenda for the overall people's mindsets, that what is going to capture the imagination of the youth of the next 25 years. Like Mr. Vinod said, this is about the Amrit Kal that we have been entering. So the mention of these areas that has happened in the budget, sunrise opportunities that they're calling, broadly based on two criteria. One is achieving the sustainable development goals, which are also tied in with COP26, and the other one is employment of the youth. And both of them are happening through the agenda of making sure that the entrepreneurs are job creators. It's the startup ecosystem which is going to lay foundations for everything that is going to happen in the next 25 years. So whether it is the space economy, whether it is genomics, whether it is clean energy, all these sectors are capturing the imagination of the youth, including the people who are listening right now. And they are thinking in their mind, how do we take these sectors as a whole from 0 to 1 and then from 1 to n? So that is the most exciting part about it, that they're capturing the imaginations. Some specifics would be around the animation, visual effects, gaming, the AVCG sector itself, which is tying up very nicely with the global perspective on metaverse and the NFT startups which are taking shape in India, the digital identity startups that are taking shape in India. And this is a really forward-looking budget, and a lot of further steps need to be taken to convert all of this to action.
So I want to go back to Yuvika and ask specifically what would be the emerging markets, the sunrise markets, where students can see next 2-3 years going down, and then I go to Vinod and come back to Sachit on the same question. Well, what are the emerging markets for the youth to target? Yuvika, your
I
views?
think right, Anuj. So taking a leaf from budget, as the other speakers were also alluding to, there are a number of new age sectors that found mention in the budget. So gaming, animation, being the two of them. Big data and AI also did find mention in a way where the government has established data centers as an infrastructure sector. So that I think also depicts the the focus of the government to handhold this sector of AI and big data. In terms of other sectors, I think the government did mention fintech and creating an ecosystem for fintech and digital in a big way. We also saw the announcement of RBI coming out with a digital rupee or a digital currency sometime during the course of the year. So these sectors did find a mention in the budget and do remain critical from future of youth from a perspective of both creating jobs and incomes. I think another sector which comes to my mind, and this has not been specifically addressed in the budget, but it does remain on focus within the PLI scheme of the government, is the semiconductors sector. And while we talk about designing of semiconductors and a lot of designing happening in India, fabrication of semiconductors is really lagging. If we compare how India has fared vis-a-vis, say, China or Taiwan or Korea. And we have good number of engineers who are designing chips in India, but we don't get to produce them in India because we do not have the right enablers and facilitators. And I think this is where the future of tech jobs would be, and semiconductors will be a sector which should be looked out for as far as creating opportunities.
That was the real economist comment, and that is very specific about. Just Vinodji, any areas, emerging markets you want to add or emphasize?
See, a lot of has been said about technology and digitization, which is of course center point of the budget. But if we go for some fine reading of the budget, 2-3 things comes to my mind. Is one is natural farming, which they will be doing 5 kilometers on the banks of river Ganga as a pilot project, and it will go throughout the country. So I think this natural farming, horticulture, and whatnot is going to be a big industry. Apart from this, second will be like Kisan drones, the spraying of insecticides using drones. Drones as a service is going to be a big industry in coming years, because we have seen drones can be used for postal service. Even Amazon has started using drones to deliver. Even times like COVID, the drones are very useful to deliver the medicines and everything. So this is going to be a big business in coming years. Third thing is, with the announcement of digitization and upgradation of schools, I think the content provider, the digital content providers will be a big business in coming years. Not only that, with government emphasizing on the local languages, so a lot of linguistic supports will be required. A lot of people in giving the contents in the local languages will also be requiring. Also, there is an announcement of PLI scheme for 5G technology. its accessories and the components manufacturing. So this is also going to be a big business. Third thing is the battery swapping policy is going to come. So battery as a service is going to become in a big way. And lastly, defense is going to be the center stage in coming years, because now in this budget they have announced that almost 68% of the defense capex procurement has to be done from indigenously. Not only that, 25% of DRDO's defense R&D will go into the startups and MSMEs. So this is a big move from government to promote the entrepreneurship, to promote the job creation in India.
Any points to add, Sachit, when we really see drones delivering the Zomato and Swiggy things very soon? So any nice, good things more to add?
Yeah, I think I'll second what Yuvika and Vinodji said on this, that a lot of new sectors being tapped in. I think one important announcement, which I'll just add to that, is the recognition of data centers and energy storage systems under the umbrella of infrastructure. Is going to give a huge fillip, because once you categorize this as part of infrastructure, a lot of low interest bearing loans are made available. A lot of policies, a lot of incentives which are available to infrastructure get available. Maybe some tax holidays are extended to it. So I think it's going to give fillip to the sector, which in turn will create jobs and entrepreneurship in the country. So I think apart from what has been said, I think that's a good announcement I heard.
Any points we missed on, Devansh, and then I ask Farzan to add. Devansh, any points you want to?
Great. So most of the points are covered, but the one thing that I would like to add is you would have remembered the National Education Policy, which came out in 2020. That has converted into something known as Desh Stack e-portal, which is on very similar lines as Aadhaar and other API-based systems. So what it is doing is it will provide you a skilling credential for what you're doing, and will also be integrated with various other applications like Udyam and the employment benefits which is being offered. So it's a single platform, pretty much on the lines of UPI, and has potential of various applications to be built on top of it. So looking forward to that, really pushing out to the rural areas and areas where the digital adoption has been on the lower side. And this is one of the very significant moves. And this has taken almost 2 years, by the way, and Warren was also contributing a lot to this particular initiative. Good to see a mention in the budget.
Great. That was really a very progressive and a long-sighted thing which we can build upon year by year. Farzan, any points in terms of emerging markets and anything which we missed?
The underlining theme is going to be technology. Whether we talk about technology in finance and fintech. I mean, a lot of us can probably remember that the first credit card we applied, it took us 1 month to come, right? You have to go to a bank, fill a form, the person would come home, the person would come to your office, verify it, and then you get a credit card. Today, we have virtual credit cards that we get in half an hour. That's the space we've really traveled. So anything to do with fintech, in terms of edtech, we have a virtual university that has been announced as far as the budget is really concerned. Agri-tech is huge. Agriculture is the base at which really a large part of the population is there. So agri-tech is going to be huge. And the US markets really, picked up their growth story with the 3 stocks, as it's often called, the fan stocks, right? The Facebook, Alphabet, that's Google, and Netflix. I'm sure very soon we're going to have our fan companies as well. And it's all going to be, the next decade would be a technology-driven thing across sectors that would be there. So I think it would be a tech-enabled platform that would really help all sectors across.
True, definitely. And we were talking about skilling and the impact digital. So Vinod would like to hear more, like what would be the new areas of skilling, as CI is very much vocal about skilling from the grassroots level to everywhere. So any thoughts about skilling and especially on digital?
Anuj, last many years we were always advocating that the education is not aligned with what industry demands. So this time they have very specifically, if you read the speech of Honorable FMC, says that skilling, upskilling, reskilling will be in connection with industry needs. So that is very important. So that means every state, I think, will have to form a committee wherein what is the requirement of that state from the education, so that the direct employment can be absorbed by the industries, in particular that state. So that is a very welcome move. Not only that, you can see they are going to linkage Udyam, E-Shram, NCS, RSIM portals for the employment, and with the MSME Udyam. So direct this will solve lot of problem of employment, because there are a lot of migrant labor problems also. So whatever is the theme of budget is like digitization. They want to link everything together. And also one more important thing which Sachit will also appreciate, there will be an international arbitration center will be opened at IFSC. So Sachit will be traveling to Gandhinagar more often now once it is started. So this will give a lot of jobs to our law students, because now we have to do a lot of arbitration through Singapore or London or whatever. A lot of our foreign exchange is gone. So because a lot of education, if you think of education, there are services which has been offered by IFSC. So IFSC is going to be a big game changer in coming years, with green bonds and bullion and international exchange coming up. So I think overall, if you see, the new age employment will be generated with new age industries coming up in India.
True, very true. Anything to add, Sachit? Arbitration, law, and any areas of skilling and digitalization where you see that that the youth can take the advantage from?
Well, yes, the youth can surely take advantage of it. I don't know whether I'm very happy with the center in Gujarat. I would have rather traveled to Singapore or London for a vacation as well. But, besides the point, I think all arbitrations can now be done online. Most of the arbitrations are online. But to have a center in Gujarat under IFSC will be a great boost. And I'll tell you why. It seems like a small step, but under the IFSC, you can choose your own law. You can choose your own regulation. You won't be bound by in that sense, the courts. You could actually choose London as the seat of arbitration while sitting in IFSC. So, I think it's going to ease out a lot of those post-arbitration litigations which we get entangled with and which delay a lot of projects. I think what is also very significant, which was announced in the budget speech, was substituting securities or personal bonds with a bank guarantee. A huge step in easing out business today. So in the steps of easing out business, I think that's another milestone that we've achieved. That also shows that the government is today trusting its people. The reason was that you insisted on bank guarantees, which in itself required the person to keep 90% money or 80% money as margin, was distrusting your own people. Now you're trusting your people. You're saying we'll accept your bond and move forward. So I think some very, very important steps, very small, but very significant.
Great. Your thoughts, Yuvika, on this part of skilling and digital?
So from, I think my perspective, digital is something which has found a lot of flavor. In fact, the frequency of the usage of the word digital was probably the highest in the FM's budget speech. She mentioned the word 36 times. So, so digital we see across sectors. The government has talked about Gati Shakti, which is also premised on a digital platform. Government spoke about e-passports. It spoke about integrating technology and digital chips in those passports. Once again, there was discussion of doing 5G spectrum auctions, earmarking certain funds for establishment of optical fiber, under the BharatNet scheme of the government or the program of the government. So every domain, every sector that you live, that the FM spoke about, digital was one aspect which found its way in every particular announcement. So that essentially shows the broader vision of the government. And as Mr. Agarwal was alluding to in the beginning, that they have set the course for the next 25 years. Because we know that the youth of today and the young population of today are premised on technology and harnessing digital platforms. all of us have mobile phones, we have technology at our fingertips, and that is the future of the economy as well. As far as skilling is concerned, though we did find a few mentions of upgrading skill, reskilling, etc., I always believe that we put too much of onus of or expectation that the government will do a lot on skilling. While on one hand, we also talk about the need of government to move away from non-strategic sectors. So while we'll argue that there is no business that the government needs to be in the business of either airlines or for that matter, running a steel firm, etc. But at the same time, we have a very age-old mindset that the government will still continue to invest in skilling. Why so? I think the onus of skilling lies more with the private sector than with the government. The role of the government essentially is to play that of an enabler or a facilitator to ensure that it identifies where the skilling gaps are and probably in the remotest of the areas fill those gaps. But otherwise, I think the private sector needs to lead the mantle on this front, identify where the gaps are. They understand where the gaps are in which industry, map them to the best extent, and they have the fiscal capacity to do it. I don't see the reason why the government should excessively be burdened with the task of skilling per se.
Any one line, Devansh, you want to add on skilling, or one or two lines in terms of, in the interest of time, on skilling and digital, Devansh, which we missed out, and then I go to Fazan on the same question.
I agree that it's the industry which drives the demand of all the jobs, and it is industry which should be driving this as well. But at the same time, there are some strategic sectors which requires regulatory attention, which require responsible behavior, which require investments where markets are not driving those investments. And that is where government has a very big role to play. That's it.
Fazan, a quick comments on the same on digital and skilling.
I think digital, I think each of the eminent panelists did speak about it, and that has been the underlining theme. But also let's remember, along with digital, there has been a lot of emphasis on small and medium enterprises. So today, a person who's starting an age-old business of manufacturing, this theme of Atmanirbhar Bharat that has been playing out from the last couple of years and has been amplified in the budget is something that we should look forward to. So it's not only digital, it's even age-old conventional businesses that are really there. So I think, skilling is something that the focus area is on.
Sure. So viewers, we really are looking a lot of questionnaire, and we'll very soon take your questions. And thank you for being there. And stay live. We have more to come. My next question is on startups and entrepreneurship. So we have Devansh, who's been working at grassroots level. So Devansh, what do you think? And I would like you to set the context and bring your thoughts about a lot of youth aspiring to be the startups and entrepreneurs of young India, and what the budget, how they can take the advantage, what is the future ahead for them. Devansh.
Great. So thanks a lot, Dr. Anuj. This is the most important bit I was waiting to talk about. One specific announcement that happened in this year's budget was that we are launching a fund for blended finance capital to agri-tech startups. Already government is sitting on a lot of data, which is beneficial for farmers in terms of insurance, in terms of all kinds of things which can happen. The only problem is that data is in silos, and we need young entrepreneurs to come in to use that data and make sure that the services are delivered, whether it is during the crop planning stage, whether it is during the smart farming stage, or even post-harvest, where you need all kinds of supply chain traceability, quality assessment, so that the farmer gets the right price for the effort that they put in. Any entrepreneur who's sitting in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, this is your time to break into the market and really put forward a nation building agenda, first of all, by serving farmers who are like 65% of our population. At the same time, you get to work in emerging technology areas. AI has a lot of potential. Blockchain has a lot of potential. There's an insight report which World Economic Forum came out with, which was last year, and we are converting many of those recommendations into pilots with state governments, whether it's with Telangana, Karnataka, Meghalaya. So agriculture is the biggest opportunity, in my opinion, because of the size. There can be tens and hundreds of Dehats or Ninja cards, the biggest startups that we have in agri-tech. Same model can be adopted by tens and hundreds of them, and they can easily thrive in the market. There is so much potential to be unlocked over here. And the budget announcement specifically on this one was very helpful. Also, it ties up with the drone Shakti part, which was mentioned a lot. So the model here is that we put forward some Uber-like kind of a mechanism. We have machinery, but we need to consolidate it. We need to put it forward as drone as a service, which was mentioned a lot in this budget. So when that happens, you give employment to new drone operators, but it's not just manufacturing, it is also design of the drones. It's about customization of spraying. There's a whole lot of engineering work which goes into each and every bit of that. And everybody who has the right kind of skills can really take this to the next level. And India is the biggest market for this to take place. Thank you.
Yeah, even we can look at doing something for exports with the market picking up. Yuvika, your points. You yourself have been an entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur. Any areas you want to add to Devan's thought?
I think I can talk from the sector that I come from. So besides looking at economics, or in conjunction with looking at economics, we also look at a lot of big data. And I think that is where the future of a lot of jobs and employment opportunities will be. So if you look at how big data has evolved, traditionally we would look at we would base our assessment on smaller data. We did not have the capability to harness big data. Over the last few years, not only have we generated a lot of data, but even as analysts, we need to make good use of that data. And we find there's a lot of skill gap. So we would have data generators sitting in a different corner. We would have economists in a different corner who have been trained as economists, but do not have skill set to look at big data. And then you have analysts who just know how to look at big data, but do not know how to draw conclusions out of it. So it is very important to map not just the data generation part, the ability to analyze it and draw meaningful conclusions. And that is exactly what we are trying to do at our own consultancy firm, that we are trying to map big data and draw meaningful conclusions for business takeaways. And I think this is a very nascent industry. We are probably the first few movers as far as this is concerned. We have competition in other countries, Hong Kong, Singapore, where they have established such a practice, but India is still in its nascent phase. And I think big data and AI are something which will offer a lot of job opportunities, and the youth needs to gear up for those.
So Quantico Research doing the best, taking the lead in the market, and definitely can be the enablers. Sachit, your views, anything on for the startups, entrepreneurs, and how they can take the best out of this budget? Then I go to Farzan and final from Vinodji.
Yeah, so I think one on the tax front, which is close to my heart, that's the tax holiday to the startups has been extended by another year to 2023. So the sunset period has been extended. And I think that's going to be critical in terms of allowing them to breathe a little easy, considering last couple of years have pretty much gone in COVID. Secondly, I think the aspect of drone Shakti is very important if that comes under startup. And if you read that in conjunction with the August 2021, the drone rules which came about, which allowed easy licensing. I mean, in that sense, there was virtually the licensing was taken away, registration was taken away, and the promise of the government to set up, the skill management courses for use of drone. I think that this is going to be in the next couple of years, going to be a great enabler, because you could also have, there's another incentive under the tax code where if you set up a new manufacturing facility, like let's say for drones, you get a rebate on tax, the tax payable, the tax rate is at 15%. So, those are aspects which drive employment, because manufacturing will drive employment. It is a tax-friendly measure, and plus it skills the right people to take up jobs everywhere. So I think it's a win-win. I see Drone Shakti vis-a-vis startup as a big thing in the coming couple of years.
Fazan, your quick comments.
I think the government is very, very pro in terms of the complete startup ecosystem, and that was very evident in the budget As Sachit just pointed out, one is extending the tax holiday that is there, but they've also been very, very careful of for the investors. The surcharge, like on the long-term capital gain tax that was there, that was the sticky point with a lot of investors that invest in these early stage companies. That has been taken care of. And really, the AIF, the Alternate Investment Fund, they have said that they would set up a committee to really look into it. So I think the government is very, very pro across sectors, whether it is the fintech, edtechs, agri-techs across, and they are doing everything possible on the taxation side of it to really provide a platform. And most important, with the ease of doing business, that's been the bedrock foundation on which the startup rally is really happening.
Great. So I had an anonymous question: how is Gujarat inspiring people for entrepreneurs? So adding to this, Vinod bhai, your comments on startups and entrepreneurs.
See, when we talk about startup, we should not forget our social startups also. And that is when we are talking about ease of living 2.0, what FM has put emphasis on budget. So there are a lot of welfare scheme, inclusive development schemes are also announced, like 2 lakh Anganwadis will be upgraded to Saksam Anganwadis. So we should find out what are the opportunities available in this, because everything will go on a digital platform for Anganwadis also. They are talking about linkaging or upgrading almost 1.5 lakh post office to a banking kind of infrastructure, so that the DBTs, the direct bank transfers, will be through post office in coming days. So that means government is very keen to strengthen the rural economy, agriculture economy. So where is more than half of the population of India is lying in rural economy. So when we talk about social enterprises or the startups, I think more and more opportunities lying in rural areas. Not only that, even in health, they are going to our national mental health program. They are going to upgrade 23 telehealth centers to make it as a centers of excellence. Lot of, you can think of 60,000 crores will be allocated only for the Jal Mission, that every household should get the tap water. These are not a small announcements or small budget allocations. So we have to pick point, we have to find out what are the opportunities available. And most important, just a line has been announced in this budget called private forestry or agroforestry. So if you look after 80s, there was no forest land was allowed for private players to operate. Even not a single wood was allowed to cut from the forest. And India is 100% dependent on imported wood for our furniture. So we have to wait for the fine print, what they mean of this agroforestry and private forestry. So these kind of businesses, new businesses, which has been put forward in this budget, I think apart from digital business, what youth is aspiring, but the traditional business is like, you can see the allocation of PM Gati Shakti money, 100 cargo terminals, 400 Vande Mataram trains. So these are not a small amount of infrastructure which is India going to build in next 5-10 years. And lot of opportunities required, lot of innovation is required in all these sectors.
Going ahead with the rapid fire question answer, we have a lot of college students putting Q&A. I would, in any fashion, the first question is all around cryptocurrency. A lot of youth asking after this budget, is it an asset or a liability with so much taxation of so much coming it into under tax, and what is the future? So anyone who wants to go for this, put your views on the cryptocurrency, official and unofficial view, you guys can please put.
Well, I can take it up as an advice. Yeah, please, Sachit, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I was a college student recently, so I can relate more in terms of the expenses and all. See, barely 2% or 5% of people's portfolios is going into cryptocurrencies. All the advocates who are advocating cryptocurrency, they also know the kind of volatility which is associated with it. So if the audience is around college students, then please avoid such assets as much as you can. Or if you have a lot of money, you are okay to see it through some volatility, maybe go ahead. But as an asset, cryptocurrency will have much more use cases in metaverse and other things eventually. But as of now, in terms of investment, it doesn't look like a good idea for college students.
Please add, Sachit.
Yeah, first, I think what one needs to take away from the budget is that the government of India will never recognize cryptocurrency as a legal tender. I think they've made it very clear. It will not be allowed as a medium of payment or exchange. It will be treated as a separate class of asset, and in fact, separate from shares and securities. They don't want to, they've created a separate definition. They'll keep it completely different. It is as it, in fact, if I look at the taxation, the only parallel I see to cryptocurrency is betting, because it's a 30% flat rate, no deduction for expenses, no allowance for loss. So they treat this as pretty much betting and wagering. That's their reading of the law. So if you are okay doing it, well, good luck. Treat it as a bet you've placed. What we call in commercial terms, and not to be used money can be parked there. See, after 5-7 years, if you make some money, no problem in paying 30% tax. But if you have only very little left, then don't start with this as an investment.
Anuj,
Thanks. Yeah.
Just to all the college students who are really there and who are really trying to really grow their money, I would say the equity market rally in India has just started. So if you really want to put money and you want to invest money, put it in the equity market. Wait 5-7 years, and you'll be much happier than putting it in cryptocurrency.
Yeah, we appreciate, but these are all thoughts of the speakers. We don't endorse anything about investment at any. And thank you, Ayans, for bringing this question. Yes, sir.
Adding to this crypto, in India, the horse race and lotteries and everything was there since ages. So one of them, government has put it. So what you said, that whether it is legal or illegal, if you pay 30%, it's legal. Otherwise, you are illegal, bound to for IT rates, etc. As Sachit and everybody say, if you have disposable income, please put it. Your nasib. So this is what. But what is going to be the official digital rupee is going to be game changer, because that will put India, I think the parallel economy or the black economy will put a little end to that once the digital currency of RBI will come into picture.
Definitely, that was the next question I was coming on, digital rupee or the digital currency. Any further thoughts on digital currency? We had a couple of questions around that. If anyone wants to add something.
I think financial inclusion that is really there. This digital currency is going to really help in that. So today, if you sit in the remotest part of this country, probably you have a post office and LIC office that is closest. But after you have a digital currency, you have 4G length and breadth of this country. So I think financial inclusion is really going to go to the next level, and fintechs are going to complement the banks. They are not going to compete with the banks. They will complement the banks in really taking it to the next level. So it's the right step forward by the government.
Any further thoughts?
Just to add to Farzan, I think it will also do away with a lot of corruption in the system. Money will be completely traceable. You don't need then people running after or having raids. You'll know where the money is sitting. I think it's going to be a game changer once it completely materializes in the few years coming down the line.
Absolutely.
So 5 minutes to wrap up. The next question is,
Anuj, the digital currency will help India to reduce the burden of printing the money, because there's a lot of money is going in
climate
printing
change.
The paper money. So a lot of things are there, a lot of advantages are there. So let's see how.
So
and the success of UPI, the BHIM app, what has done in India. Absolutely. So I think this will work out because this digital world goes very well with today's youth.
So what are the next unicorns we are going to witness with this budget? What are the next few unicorns in what sectors, at least, if we can talk about? That's another question coming up. So please, if anyone can take this.
I can take a stab at that. Broadly, we call these startups unicorns. It's another term for startups which are going to become unicorns. There are 2 of them in agriculture right now. And then there are plenty in gaming, in media, in e-commerce, education. These are, everybody can guess that education, e-commerce would be the biggest ones. But on the consumer side, on the nation building side, agriculture is really looking strong. And I have high expectations from these 2 particular unicorns.
And I think from 55 odd unicorns that we have, we'll very soon, in a few years, go to about 200 unicorns. So as I said, the startup capital of the world, this is really going to materialize.
Yeah, gaming and edtech for me will be things to watch out for.
Yeah, we can soon have our own PUBG.
Right.
So Prithviraj has a question. I think Devansh, you can take this. By focusing on agriculture sector, can we think the government has really opened the doors for startups for promoting organic farming and connecting technology with farm, and what all a student should keep in mind while starting up an agriculture sector?
Great question. Yeah, Mr. Vinod.
See, two things which government has done this time is, one is linkage of rivers, what they call it the PR, and having a natural farming on the bank, river banks. So this is helping getting a natural farmer as well as the waterways, use of waterways as the cheapest mode. So if you link together waterways as well as the natural farming, and with the help of technology, because if you see horticulture, आज एक शादी में देखते हो तो आप 10-20 लाख के flowers use करते हो, which we normally import from Netherlands and Thailand. So why not grow in India? If the youth can take seriously horticulture, fruits growing, and all these kind of new businesses, and farming as you can say, the contract farming, FPOs, and different modes which government has already announced before. And you see the agriculture is the only industry which is tax-free. And it is multiplying effect every year. So if the youth of today can seriously take agriculture as a main business, then I think there is a lot of scope in this.
Devansh, your comments?
Many of my friends have actually returned from their software jobs and they are doing their own farming. There's something known as vertical farming, urban farming, and using their technology skills, they are also trying to build traceability solutions. So for example, this particular viewer mentioned about organic farming. How do you ensure that it is actually organic? What are all the ingredients which go into it? Is there a way to track it right from farm to fork? How do we do that? So there are plenty of blockchain solutions going around, but we don't have a solution which is acceptable to everyone. So this is a really evolving space and there are multiple things going on. We can always delve into further details.
Any additions, or we go to the last question of the eve, which is on research and development. One of the young student is asking that about research and development, Amritesh Kumar, that we are talking more about Make in India, entrepreneurship, but how much budget focus are we on the R&D innovations India is putting up exclusively? And do colleges have a specific guidelines where we can put some budget for innovation and entrepreneurship? Anyone can take on our research and development? Yes.
Yeah, Anuj, I will take. See, India is you can say probably the least spending economy on R&D in the developing countries. We are spending even less than 0.5% of our GDP, where in America, China, if you see small countries like Hong Kong, Singapore are putting a lot of money. Now, why this is happening? India has tried to put research and innovation right from the school, what they have started a couple of years called Atal Tinker Labs and Atal Innovation Missions, but it will take some time. And what I said before also, what a real R&D is required by industry is not done by the academia. And there is a very big gap between academia and the industries. So that gap has to be solved. Also, this time government has realized that R&D, what was government spending was done on R&D, that innovation was normally gone to public sector units or a big giant corporates. So this they want to take this R&D to the MSMEs. Once this will percolate to the lower level, then only the real fruits of R&D you can see in industries.
And I think
any things to add?
Just to add, Anuj, as rightly said, we are looking at R&D as a percentage of GDP. We are one of the lowest, but I think it's work in progress. I mean, a lot of Make in India products today are world class. Also, let's not forget that a lot of it is with digital and technology innovations. So a lot of it, in terms of the total spend may not be very large, but the quantum of effect that is really having is, I think, is really there. Like look at our IT exports today, 200 billion of exports. Yeah, we export more IT than Saudi Arabia exports oil. So I think that's really, really proud. So I mean, that is born out of R&D, that is born out of innovation, that has really happened. So I think we are getting there. Soon we will.
Yes, data is the new oil. Your final comments before we leave. We had a very meaningful 1 hour discussion with Sachit, Yuvika, Devansh, Vinod, and Fazan. You guys have been bringing around a lot of energy among the youth. So guys, just your final comments to the young college students who probably we will invite you in physical mode anytime to meet them, and they will be so thrilled that we watched your session. Starting from the lady in the session, Yuvika, your final comments, then we proceed.
Just taking on the discussion of budget, I think budget is a single document and we spend too much of energies on it every year. But I think the vision of the government needs to be seen from a broader perspective of what the government has done and been doing in the last few years, and then read the budget in conjunction with a broader framework. I think that is one. Second, I think my two thoughts one for the students community and whatever that's worth is, one, that there is no shortcut to hard work, and in this time and age of being on Twitter and Instagram, we are caught up in being extremely short in our responses and in our efforts. I think there is there is a lot of scope, there's a lot of energies in our youth that needs to be channelized in the right direction. So please work hard and aspire big, and there is no stopping you. The Indian government and the facilitator and the role of the enabler that it is playing, and it does play. I'm sure we'll have a very bright future of the country with lots and lots of startups and young entrepreneurs leading forward on growth, and you are the future of the country. So please invest in yourself, invest in your education, skilling, work hard, because those years are never going to come back. So what you learn in your schools and colleges is of utmost importance, and building on that education and skill set will serve you through the rest of your life. So good luck and have a bright future.
Sachit, your comments, you have been one of the key enablers for this dialogue which we are doing now.
Thank you. I think I'll just second what Yuvika said, and she's true to her name. I think put your head down, keep working along, look at the government as an enabler, and also look at your surroundings, your environment, because I think that's something which I've always focused on and I continue to focus on. Without clean environment and without clean water, no human being can prosper and no human being can live. So sustainable growth is important. Look after yourself and look after the environment. Keep your head down, and I think things should be fine.
Fazan, your one-line statement for
I think to all our young aspiring Indians, I think you all are blessed to be a part of this India, the new India, where opportunities are going to really be unlimited. The government will be an enabler to growth, and I think you will really achieve. You will see a new India, a transition from a developing to developed nation, and I think this is the decade for India. And each one of us is going to bear fruit for this. And as I always keep saying, in terms of wealth creation, more wealth will be created in the next 10 years compared to the last 75 years. So I think just be there, and I think we all will succeed.
Devansh, we'd like the nectar of everything. Your final comments and for the college students.
Yeah, it was a great session, great discussion, all inputs well taken. And I'll reiterate the point that you are the best investment that you can think of at this point if you are a college student. So put your efforts and cancel out the noise as much as possible. Seek out mentors, seek out people who are doing amazing work, try to be among a peer network which really inspires you, and then drill down to what really motivates you and find your passion. That's it.
We have some of the institutional members of CII watching this. We have a lot of young YUVA college members who are watching it from Ahmedabad, Aurangabad, Bhavnagar, Bhopal, Goa, Indore, Mumbai, Nasik, Pune, Rajkot, Surat, and Vadodara. So Vinod, please do address our CII young Indians, college students, and what they
Anuj,
have
I want to borrow a line from the hit OTT web series of Scam 82. Time has come to invest in India. So what I can see 1,000+ viewers that we will find very soon lot of Ambanis and Adanis in coming years. And I'm sure that every year we will have 10, 20, every month we can have 10, 20 unicorns from this youth who are watching this 1 hour of conversation. And time has come that it took decades to build a one Reliance or Adani, and it takes months and years to build such an empire. So the new age India has come, the Amrit Kal has started.
Thank you so much. Thank you, the panelists. You guys have made this one the most meaningful hour for me, for a lot of youth, and for young Indians, for CII. I really take this opportunity to thank Mr. Vinod Agarwal, Mr. Devansh Pathak, Mr. Sachit, Mr. Fazan, and Miss Yuvika Singhal for coming out, sparing your time, and so much passion and energy you have brought for the Yuva, because we all definitely look forward for the young generations to take India to the future, which our the founders of the new nation have dreamed about, an inclusive economy, economy, or a society where there is a lot of inclusiveness, and definitely there's a lot of energy in this show because we are connected to the youth. And I was talking to Yuvika that day. If this had been a physical session, we would be feeling wow. So thank you so much, and we look forward for your continuous support to YI, UVA, and CII forums, and we'll be looking forward you back in our more series. Thank you, Sachit. Thank you, Yuvika. Thank you, Devansh. Thank you, Fazan. Thank you so very much, Mr. Vinod and Ruchi, for hosting us. All the viewers, thank you so much. It has been a very a great day, and a lot of questions which have come. So let's rise by lifting others. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anuj sir, for moderating the great session.